IRS says file a 2020 tax return if you haven't already, or amend your 2020 tax return if it's already been processed. So we can verify, yes, there is a way to get your stimulus money by filing taxes.
Begun.
And a lot of people still have questions about those stimulus payments from the government. Consumer reporter Samantha Chapman is here with some answers.
Isn't doing a non-filers tool, but you could file a tax return with $1, showing $1 in income, and then that should allow you to at least have a tax return generated so that you can.
Many states are beginning to send out inflation checks to the residents, and new $750 fourth stimulus checks are going out to families that are facing financial difficulties. There's also residents in the state of Virginia that are eligible to receive a one-time $500 check. However, there's a deadline that you may have to take action by in order to receive this aid. Make sure to watch until the end to learn how to receive your stimulus checks, everybody, because you definitely don't want to miss out on receiving your stimulus check payments. Over 240,000 checks were sent out this past weekend to the low-income households. It was part of the second payment sent to Connecticut residents in the past 2 months. A total of $42 million was mailed out on Friday and Saturday as part of the state's Earned Income Tax Credit Enhancement Program. The amount each person received did vary based on their taxes, but the average payment was about $170. So the payments were funded by the emergency crisis relief that was set aside specifically for these families' reports. Last year, the Department of Revenue issued about 248,000 checks to Connecticut households that earned less than $57,000. In August, the state also sent out the child tax credit payments of up to $750. The tax credit program offers 41% of the federal credit, up from 23% in the past. And the Connecticut governor has also approved the changes last year to offer low to moderate income families and individuals get more money back. Now, the state's tax credit, everybody, closely mirrors the federal Earned Income Tax Credit Program, folks. So you must file a tax return and earn an income of less than $57,000 to qualify for both of these programs. Struggling Americans have only days remaining to file their taxes if they want to claim a one-time relief check of $500. And officials in Virginia have revealed that 3.2 million people will receive the checks in total. Single filers can claim up to $250, and while joint filers will get a $500 check as well. Only Virginians that had a tax liability last year are eligible for the rebate. But everybody, officials have warned that the deadline to file taxes is November 1st. A seriously low U.S. and global diesel supply is likely to drive up fuel costs and worsen inflation. It raises concern about the cold weather months approach. And according to Patrick DeHaan, the head of petroleum analysis at Gas Buddy, several factors are now coming to a head as colder temperatures bring more seasonal demand for diesel, a fuel that powers trucks and buses that are also used in heating. Another analyst told CBS News that this is the start of heating oil season, and this is why demand really starts picking up, even as we enter the winter months. So the country has about 25 days of diesel left, a level that's very considered low. Much of the century's attention, everybody, has been focused on gasoline prices, which have fluctuated throughout the year. They have generally fallen in recent months, following a peak of $5 a gallon in June. A confluence of factors have also strained diesel markets. These factors include reduced refining capacity due to the crisis and increased demand amid the recovery. Analysts said that this crunch is expected to worsen persistently high inflation not seen in the last 4 decades. High diesel prices may drive up shipping and heating costs. Danforth added that this could help also push the country into recession as rising prices curb demand for products. Even Joe Manchin said that while addressing the governor's Energy Summit this week, he said that the Inflation Reduction Act will impact West Virginia's coal industry in a big way. During his speech, Manchin said the IRA creates new opportunities for West Virginia's coal communities, making up $250 billion in loans available for coal plants and fossil infrastructure to improve efficiency and adopt environmental controls. The Inflation Reduction Act also supports oil and gas producers. These historic laws will save Americans money on electricity bills and help consumers afford technologies that will help lower emission and gas prices. Now, Manchin also said it's a win-win for the pocketbook and our economic competitiveness around the country. So, hopefully President Biden can do something about this, everybody. Tell me what you think in the comments.
We're doing all this while reducing, by the way, you know, Republicans say those big spending Democrats. Well, guess what, guys? I got handed the biggest deficit in history. Guess what? I have cut the deficit $1.4 trillion just this year, the largest in American history. Never has happened before. We also cut $350 billion in the deficit last year. And we're going to cut another $250 billion in the next decade. And we did all these things without raising a single penny tax on anyone who made.
When will the stimulus checks be sent out? And is there going to be a fifth stimulus check? So in this video, I'll be answering all of your questions surrounding the fourth and even fifth stimulus relief package. But first, I want you guys to know that the federal government just announced that more than 2.3 million new stimulus checks have been sent out. And that represents over $4.2 billion in stimulus payments to Americans. In total, more than 169 million payments worth about $395 billion have been issued since Congress passed the American Rescue Plan Act in March. Now everybody, I really hope that our politicians realize that American people are still in need of stimulus money. There are so many people across the country that are suffering, and a fourth stimulus check of $1,000 a month will definitely help those people out. And if you guys agree with me, then don't forget to give this video a like. Everybody, let's get this video to 1,000 likes to show our politicians that the American people still need a fourth stimulus payment.
This isn't about Dr. Fauci. It's not about his feelings, and I'm sorry if his feelings were hurt. You know, maybe he ought to buy an emotional support pony. But we're not debating dance moves on TikTok here. We're talking about millions of human lives, and here's what we know.
As you've alluded to, the big meeting after the G7, which will focus on all of these issues.
The privatization of Social Security benefits. That is what it does. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people coming up here and saying, well, we want to preserve Social Security. What they really mean is in order to preserve Social Security, they want to cut Social Security benefits. Maybe not for the people today.
In the fourth round of stimulus checks, 1.1 million stimulus payments with a value of more than $2.5 billion were plus-up payments. And that includes new or larger payments that were due to individuals and families after the 2020 tax returns have been processed. To date, more than 8 million of these payments have been sent. Additionally, more than 900,000 checks worth around $1.9 billion went to individuals who recently filed their tax returns with the IRS, but did not previously have the information on record. The latest rounds of payments includes more than $1.2 million direct deposits. Includes more than 1.2 million direct deposit payments, and while the rest were sent via paper checks. Everybody, that is awesome news for those of you who still have not received your third stimulus money. It is very likely that your $1,400 check will arrive this week if you haven't received it already. We'll also show whether your income dropped, because if you folks did not end up receiving your $1,400 stimulus check, or the previous two $1,200 or $600 checks, you can still claim the money by filing a federal tax return. I want you folks to know that the IRS continues to issue checks each week, including plus-up payments to those whose previous stimulus checks fell short, and new payments to people that it did not previously have a record on.